Nation, we're back with another episode. And on top of that, man, no intro is needed. You guys know how we get the funk, we get the groove going, we get all of this stuff going. But I got an unfamiliar face out here, and I gotta tell you guys, man, tell people about your groove. Tell people about what you are doing, Joseph. Tell everybody, man.
Thanks for having me on. I'm the fantasy football counselor. I've been crushing it on Instagram, just helping people dominate their leagues. My mission is that you guys win America's favorite pastime, America's team. Ironic, I'm with America's team for America's favorite pastime, fantasy football. And my mission is that you guys dominate your fantasy football leagues. That's what I do.
Yes, indeed. So speaking of domination for the nation, man, there's a God out there that can help lead the people in the right direction. We're going to go ahead and start to talk about that right off the jump. Can you tell people about that God right quick?
Who's that? Zeke Elliott?
No. Draft guide. Oh, you got to get used to my
guide.
country.
I thought you said guy. Okay.
My country swang over here.
Well, Zeke Elliott is the guy to lead the fantasy forces. But my fantasy guide, listen, guys, I created something called the 16-round draft solution. Get rid of the draft kits. I tell you all the optimal players to draft in each round. You can get it. There's a link here. I think he's going to link below here. Laws will. And this is really, guys, it's going to help you guys get the major unfair advantage over the competition. I help you guys with your year-long in it 16-round draft solution.
Yeah, so it's not just one round. It's not just two rounds. He's talking about complete 16 rounds. So I want you guys, if you look into your description box or your chat, you will see a link there. That's where you can go and get all of that good information. I'm telling you, it's second to none. I read over it. I got a chance to, I didn't get a chance to read over it all the way, but I got a chance to see what he did last year. That's historical data. So when you start looking at what somebody's doing last year, now you can transpose those numbers, forecast it, and say to yourself, man, this is what I'm missing out, and this is what I can get this year, you see. So y'all check it out, man. The link is in the description box or your chat box, man. I really appreciate you all, Trey and Rue and For Production. Really appreciate you. So with that being said, with the Dallas Cowboys, outside of Ezekiel Elliott, we talked a little bit about that, Joseph, on your page earlier last week. What kind of fantasy points do Dak Prescott get for fantasies out there?
Listen, Dak Prescott is very underrated in the fantasy football world. This guy finished second amongst quarterbacks last year in PPR, 337 plus fantasy points, number 2 in yards. Now, this guy is a beast. 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, not bad. Now, his passer rating was ranked 14th amongst quarterbacks, but this guy is a beast. And again, I feel that the mainstream, what I call the sheeps. Now, if you follow the counselor brand, we go with the line mentality. I think a lot of the mainstream sleep on Dak Prescott. This guy's extremely talented and a guy you get for probably pretty decent value. I think a lot of people will be targeting Lamar, Pat Mahomes. I think you can steal Dak Prescott in your drafts mid to later rounds. I love Dak. He's been a fantasy contributor and he's been fantastic.
Man, when we start talking about the Dallas Cowboys, we say a lot of things about the head coach. Coaching is so much pivotal to the Dallas Cowboys organization or any organization. So for 10 years or more, we had a Jason Garrett, which vanilla as it best being his offense. Have you did any homework or any research on Mike McCarthy, what he brings to the table, what type of offense as it relates to West Coast or his style? Do you have any insights on that?
I don't dive too much into that, but I will tell you, I am a little concerned in regards to running game because we saw him run committees in the past with the running game. So I'm kind of concerned from a fantasy point of view that Pollard might be used a little bit more and it might take the load off Zeke. But as you said, you still feel Zeke is going to be the workhorse. Very possible. I mean, he's been paid to be the guy. I just feel that Pollard might get in a little bit more. Now, I am a little more excited in the passing game. Amari's been paid. I love the talent that you guys have at wide receiver, arguably combined the two best receivers in the game. I don't underestimate the talent of Gallup. I think he's great. He fights hard for the extra yardage after the catch. I think it could be great as long as they're all in sync and going. I think there's going to be a better passing game, and I think the run game It's still going to be solid, but I'm hoping it's not going to be as committee wise.
Oh, wow. I'm novice as it relates to fantasy football. Now, I do know that there's a different types of leagues out there. Can you break down the point system of fantasy football to help people like me who's novice to fantasy football know how they do the grading points? Is it total yards or is it more so with touchdowns? How do we grade the points systems with fantasy football?
Now, I just did a video on how to win fantasy football, so check that out at thefantasyfootballcounselor.com. It's on my homepage, or you can get it on my YouTube channel at Fantasy Football Counselor. It's called How to Play Fantasy Football. It explains it, but I'll kind of summarize it to you. Now, typically, there's standard leagues, half point or full point PPR, and what that means is that league is designed, if the wide receiver, running back catch the ball, they get a point per reception. So if it's a PPR league, which tends to be more popular, they're going to catch the ball. Now, scoring is different depending on the league. Typically, a running back is going to get 6 points per touchdown. Quarterback's going to throw it in 4 points per touchdown when they throw it into the receiver. It varies, right? There's different points based on position. Now, again, if a quarterback throws it 25 yards, your quarterback's going to get 1 point for a 25-yard throw. And if a running back runs 10 yards, he gets a point as well. So again, you break it down by league. If the league is styled around standard, half point or full point PPR, and each player gets a different point structure based on how they perform.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
So that's deep. I know I'm going into it.
That's deep, man. I had to pull out my calculator. I had to pull out spreadsheets and formula.
The sites do it for you. So you draft your team, and it's all done automatically through the software, whether it be Yahoo or NFL.com. They're using the software. They accumulate that for you if you guys are new to fantasy.
Yes, indeed. So for those who's new to this channel, man, please comment, post your thoughts down below so we can go over that. And his name is Joseph Robert. And he got the fantasy football counselor. And I'm telling you guys, that's like sitting in the seat getting all of the information from the counselor. He knows his stuff. So that's what it is, man. We got a Frederick. He said, go Bolt. See, we get all types of people to tune in, Joseph.
Yeah.
Yes. Gallup is our number one guy. I think Gallup will be the person. This is what Trey says on the Facebook panel. Here's the thing with Gallup. Yes, he had a lot of drops last year, right? And yes, he didn't have as much of a production as, dare I say, an Amari Cooper. But I'm with the belief right here, Joseph, is that one more year with Gallup in this particular offense, and especially when you add in the West Coast situation, maybe we'll see more of those bubble screens. Maybe we'll see more of those passes that's caught in between I guess, in the middle of the field there. I think that if you really, really, really want to score high with fantasy football just by what you just said, I think that people need to start drafting and looking at Michael Gallup.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the production last year. Amari, 119 targets compared to Gallup, 112. 79 receptions for Cooper, 66 for Gallup. They weren't too far off in regards to yardage. Both of them in and around 1,100-ish yards. Cooper a little bit better, 8 touchdowns for Cooper, 6 for Gallup. They're very, very close in production. I mean, is this going to continue? I got to ask you, because I don't know what Dak's thinking. Maybe you can get into Dak's mind a little bit more. Is he going to gravitate a little bit more? Now, part of Gallup's success is maybe Amari getting the double coverage, right? So is that going to continue? Are they going to think Gallup's more of a threat? And then again, without Cobb there, whoever's coming in for slot, is he going to take a lot of targets? I think Cobb had 83 targets, 55 receptions. That, without Cobb there, that could be nicely distributed for more fantasy points and volume to the top 2 receivers. I don't know, man. I'm really curious to see how this plays out this season.
Yeah, and when you say the production level and the target base or what have you, I think that team's going to look at it like, yeah, we know that Gallup did his job last year. And we know that now they don't have a Randall Cobb, and they have a big void in the middle of the field. But I think that the production is going to swing somehow. And I don't know how the tight ends do they fall in the categories of wide receiver, Joseph?
Well, on your roster, you're going to have to draft a tight end to fill the tight end void. Now, I typically wouldn't be targeting a Dallas tight end this season. I think Witten's coming back, correct?
No, Witten is long gone. He's gone to the Vegas Raiders.
Oh, he's gone. He's gone to Vegas. See, I've been keeping up with my offseason moves. But who's going to come in? Is it Jarwin? Who's going to be the
It's going to be Jarwin. He's going to be the A tight end, and the B tight end will be Bell, who played for the Kansas City Chiefs last year. Bell, I think his first name is dog. Y'all help me out in the chat box, man. But they call him Belldozer. He's going to be Blake Belldozer. His name is Blake as well. So
yeah. See, I'm not excited about your tight ends, but they're going to get the receptions depending on which tight end it is. But right now, based on what I've seen from production of your current tight ends and the recent production towards them and the volume, I'm not too concerned about the tight end getting the volume. But they technically kind of act like a receiver, right? They put up points kind of like receiver, reception wise, yardage wise, all works the same. But you just got to fill in your tight end slot from a fantasy point perspective on your roster.
Okay, so that's just, I guess, the normal flow of things, so filling that part in, but the wide receivers are the creme de la creme as it relates to those points. So, yeah, you're right. So if we look at that, the production got to go somewhere. Yep. So whatever target that Michael Gallup had last year, just by sheer math alone, I think that he's going to have more targets this year. Speaking of that, as we try to move over to back to the, I gotta talk about the running backs again.
Okay.
How does the running back receiving numbers go, Joseph?
Okay, so when you look at Zeke Elliott last year, 54 receptions, 420 yards, 2 touchdowns. So you're going to get a point per that reception. So every catch you got 54 catches, 54 points, right?
Right.
Now, his receiving yards, that all gets added as well, and sort of the touchdown. So if you got a pass-catching running back, they're going to get you more points ideally, especially in a PPR league. Now, Zeke doesn't get as many balls as like a Christian McCaffrey or as a Kamara or maybe even as a Saquon, but he is solid. He's durable, and that's what I like about Zeke.
Okay, solid and durable. So I was sitting there saying that because of you have the fact of you have a Tony Pollard, and then you also have Ezekiel Elliott, and we touched on this last week. So I'm thinking that where some of the production may go, and then on top of that, when you start talking about the wide receivers, so Gallup, Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott, all of those three guys plays a major role.
Right.
So I think that Cowboy Nation, if you guys really want the most information for this information, like far as the points productions and stuff like that, reach out to Joseph Robert, man. I'm telling you, the counselor will get you guys going, because I learned something today about Fantasy Football League just by talking to you about this.
Yeah, we got to get you in the league yourself. You got to play this year.
I do. I got to play. Let me ask you this, though.
Sure.
Off topic as it relates to fantasy, how do you feel about Dak Prescott and his money? Because there's somebody put that in the comment box.
I'm glad you brought this up. Okay, this is going to open up a can of worms. I'm going to open up here. Okay,
open it up.
I went on. Now I don't know if there's any Eagles fans listening, so I don't want to offend anybody, but I went on my social media when Wentz got that big contract, whatever it was, 128 million. Now, I know not all of it was guaranteed.
Right.
I think he was paid prematurely. There's people that deserve money and there's people that don't deserve money. Now, I can't say that Carson doesn't deserve money. He does. I mean, on a whole planet of X amount of billion people, there's only like 24 or 25 really good or quarterbacks that are viable.
Right.
Now, he does deserve money, but I think he was paid prematurely. So I went on. That's a whole other side tangent. Dak Prescott's been consistent for 4 years. Now, he is not no Russell Wilson or Lamar Jackson yet. We haven't seen the high ceiling that he's potential, his potential there. I still think he still has more left in the tank, but pay the guy, pay him good, pay him well, lock him in. I think he's good. I think he's solid. I remember when he first came into the season, into the league, remember his mom would tell him, don't throw a lot of interceptions, that type of thing. Right. So I think he's got a good head on his shoulders. I think he's relatively accurate. I mean, what did he have? 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, better than the year before. This guy deserves to get paid. He needs to the respect that he deserves. You've got your par quarterbacks, and he's well above par, and I think he deserves to be paid. And I am a little frustrated. I'm not even a Cowboys fanatic, right? I like the Cowboys. I grew up watching them as a kid. with the Bills, that rivalry, the 90s. I started really getting into that. I love the Cowboys. I love what they've done, but I don't understand this. I can't wrap my head around why he's not paid and paid well. That's my thoughts.
Well, that's some good information, man. Especially from the outside looking in. My channel, I get a lot of Cowboys fans, and everybody rightfully so, because I post Cowboys every day, and y'all check it out every day. Y'all hit those pluck those notification bells for me. You know what I mean? But it's good. It's refreshing to hear somebody from the outside looking in. And on top of that, especially when you think about Mike McCarthy and who he worked out with, the Aaron Rodgers, the Aaron Brooks of the world, the I guess Rich Gannon, for crying out loud, of course Steve Bono and Joe Montana. Not saying that they were great they were good or great because of Mike McCarthy, but I'm just trying to look at everything from this perspective and say to myself, hey, just maybe, the flaws that Dak Prescott exhibit and exudes out there, maybe Mike McCarthy can help these things out. Because people, Joseph, always say, Law, man, you just a Dak Prescott apologist. But I do look at this thing objectively and say that he got to pass better fade balls, when he get to the money zone. Or he got to take account for when they're blitzing, know when to throw the ball away. It's good that he don't throw a lot of interceptions, step up and just play a little bit better when he gets to the red zone. And I think Mike McCarthy will be able to figure that thing out for him.
Yeah, they got the tools. Like I said, I'm really high. I think Amari Cooper, I don't think he's the best receiver in the game. I put him in the top 10 easily. Gallup, I think he's still got more work to do, but I think he's really solid. I think the tools are in play, right? He's got Zeke Elliott, take the pressure off the receivers, distract the defenses, maybe see some stack box. Who knows, right? But I just think that the tools are finally there. I think it's time to prove himself and really take it to another level. And I think McCarthy is the good coach to do it with too.
Yes, indeed. So as we forgot to mention this, I forgot to mention this, man. How do you rate the defense in this fantasy football world?
So I have a defensive rankings. I don't put a lot of weight on defenses. Now, with the defenses, what happens in the mainstream fantasy football is they take the last year's top finishers and say, hey, you got to draft these guys again. And I don't like that. I stray away from the consensus, I call it, the consensus rankings, the consensus. I stray away from that. When it comes to defense, you can't really copy and paste the rankings because now with the draft coming in, so many changes, linebackers, corners get added, trades, free agency. So it's really hard to gauge defenses. But I have a ranking for defenses predicated on what I feel and how much volume, how good their linebackers, how many sacks they're going to get, how many interceptions they're going to get. But, defenses, I kind of wait when I'm drafting a defense for my roster.
Okay, good. Good information for everybody because I definitely don't know how to do that as well. And speaking of, for those who just not tuning in, we have Joseph Robert here. He's the football counselor. He gives you all of the good information for the nation as it relates to draft and as well as fantasy football insight. And he got a website that you guys can go to, and I'm going to post a link in the description box. Check out that website and just check it out for the draft guide that will guide you in the right direction. That's what I'm going to do.
Right. Yeah, we got to get you. This is good for advanced people and beginners. And the cool thing is, if you're just getting into fantasy football, you can get my draft guide, draft solution guide. He's posted a link there below. And literally you'll blow away. Like, this guy's new to our league, but it's like I do the video training in the draft guide so that it's like I'm actually there with you during the draft. So if you're new and you get my draft guide, you're going to blow away the competition. Like, this guy's new to fantasy. How do you win our league? That's how you did it. But you don't tell them that.
I just got to figure out one of those cool names. I heard that they, create these names and these sort of things, and it help people out. It help people. Hey, I want to tune into this name. What kind of crazy name you thought of or seen before as relates to that?
Oh, like for a fantasy football team name?
Yeah, team name.
Oh man, I got to keep this PG-13, but. Oh, man, there's so many fantasy football team names. I actually did an article on it. There's a good one for you Cowboys fan. If you want to name your fantasy team name, Dak to the Future.
Oh, right. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Dak to the Future. Get it back. You guys get it. Anyway, there's a ton of names. Some of them are corny.
I just know that you just try to keep it PG-13.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
There's another one. Kareem, you know Kareem Hunt?
Yeah, Kareem Hunt. Yeah.
Yeah, Kareem Inner Hunt. Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, I'm just I'm not saying anything bad. It's his name, Kareem Hunt. I don't know.
Kareem Hunt.
Yeah. So I told you, just keep it PG-13. There's a ton of names, and people in the fantasy world, you know, all we do is sit there, drink beer, watch games. So we come up with creative names, you know.
Creative name for everything. All right, man. I really appreciate you so much for joining in. I'm just gonna give a shout out to Skeptical Fan. Thank you so much for making a donation to help grow the nation. Next time, leave a comment so I can read it, Skeptical Fan. Shout out to Lord Nova for making another donation to help grow this thing. He says, can't wait to see the new team law. You the man with fire. Oh, man, it's not me. It's not me. It's all of you all. We continue to grow this thing, and you guys make these donations to help grow this thing all the way, and I really appreciate it. Joseph, any other parting words you'd like to leave to the Cowboys fans and Law Nation's people out here, man?
You know, I'm not just trying to kiss ass here. I genuinely tell you how I feel. If I feel a player sucks, I'll tell you that player sucks. Okay. Right. So I honestly feel, and I'm not kissing butt the Cowboys' butt here, but I genuinely feel you guys have a really good team. Solid O-line, defense is above par. Receivers are solid. Quarterback is solid. Not the best quarterback, but a well above par quarterback. I think you guys are going to have a good season. I think the Giants are going to make some moves in your division. It's going to be interesting. But I like the Cowboys this year, especially for fantasy football. I'm considering grabbing Gallup a little bit later in my draft as a wide receiver 2-3. And I got Zeke right now currently ranked as my number 2 running back right behind Saquon Barkley and ahead of Christian McCaffrey because I see a decline in Christian McCaffrey this year. I got Zeke at number 2 right now.
Wow, deep stuff. Because that Christian McCaffrey, boy, he catch, do it all.
Hey, what goes up must come down. And I think they're going to utilize their receivers this year. It's going to be a different quarterback, different offense. It's going to be a totally different situation. And if you keep using one player for your entire offense, people are going to pick up on that. So you need to mix it up. And I think they're going to mix it up this year. All
right. Any other future plans you got out there to let people know?
Man, we're just going to keep check out my Impact series on at Fantasy Football Counselor on YouTube, where I get amazing guys that are the top of their game for their team, right? All the team analysts, and check it out, guys. It's available on my YouTube. I highly encourage it. And that gives you more time to discuss that on my channel. All
right. So I can't wait for that conglomerate, of all of us getting together, talking real football stuff. None of that fake stuff, right?
No, we keep it real and we engage. And that's the thing, guys. I'm number 1 on Instagram, verified on there. Got to the platform early. But one thing I try to do, and sometimes it gets overwhelming. I'm not going to lie. My inbox is inundated. But I try to get back in the comments and I try to interact. And, at the end of the day, Laws could probably agree with me. We're no different than you, right? We're just normal people or fans. Maybe we just put up more content than you. That's how I look at it, right? I just study more fantasy football than the average guy, and I put out content. That's the only difference between me and you, and I try to keep it real with everybody.
Yes, indeed, man. That's what I'm talking about, keeping it real, Cowboy Nation. That's all the time that we have for this beautiful day and moment. Don't forget to hit that like button, share this content, let that friend, neighbor, foe know where to go when they want to tune in to Sports Talk and Beyond. That's been my time. And remember, you're listening to nothing, and I mean nothing but the best. Let's go.